All right. So I want to have this video just to give some more examples and to go through the Pythagorean theorem again for different kind of examples you will see on today's work. So first off, I want to reiterate what the Pythagorean theorem is. So Pythagorean theorem, like we talked about yesterday, you're talking about three things. We have our triangle, and we're going to care about these three lines. We're going to have line 1, line 2, and line 3. Now in this case, when we talk about these lines, we need an equation to deal with them. So in this case, we look at the two legs, again, compared to the hypotenuse. So we can say, for orange, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, knowing these three factors, we're going to use this to solve the following triangles. Now, I'm going to be labeling mine in the colors listed below of orange being the A, blue being the B, and the purple being the C. Anything else I'm going to be writing in black. So for this first example here, we're going to look at this triangle. We have one leg, I'll mark in orange. We have one leg. We have a second leg. And we have our hypotenuse. So knowing these colors, after we color coordinate them, we can start plugging them into our Pythagorean theorem here. So we know that our equation is always going to be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, which factors do we have? Well, we have our a squared of 12 squared plus, we know our b squared as well, which is 9 squared, and we do not know our c squared. So we're going to be solving for our c squared. So the first thing we need to do is we need to square these numbers. So if you use a calculator, 12 squared gives you 144. We're going to add that to our 9 squared. 9 squared gives you 81. And this is going to be all equal to c squared. So what you need to do is, our next step is going to be adding these together. So 144 plus 81 gives you 225 equaling c squared. Now, as I said yesterday, how we get rid of this square right here is taking the square root. So take the square root of both sides. If you do that, you should get your answer equaling 15 equals c. And that's the answer we're looking for. This is looking like the same exact type we did yesterday. Now let's move on to other types that you will see today. The next example we're going to look at is the second example here. Now I'm going to go through and label each part like I did in the first example. We have one leg here. We have one leg here. And we have our hypotenuse here. So let's label which ones we have. Well, we know we have an orange one, so we know a squared is going to be 8 squared. Now, do we know our b squared? Our line down here? No, because it's labeled with an x, so you put b squared. And do we know our c now? Does our purple line have a number with it? It sure does. It has 21 squared. So now let's go through this. Again, please use a calculator for this. So 8 squared gives you 64. plus b squared equals 21 squared will give you 441. Now here comes a little bit of our algebra skills we've been practicing. How do we get this variable by itself? Well, we know that that's a positive 64 at the beginning. So what we can do, how do we get rid of addition? Well, we subtract 64 from both sides. So now we have this canceling out. We have b squared equals, what's 441 minus 64? Give you guys a second to do this on the calculator. That should give you 377. Now how to get rid of the square root? Well, you take, or get rid of the square, you square root both sides. So if you take a square root of 377, you should get what? Now if you get a decimal point, you can either round to a whole number or leave it as a decimal point. If you do leave a decimal point, I would round at the first tens position, make it easy for you. In this case, you get 19.4167, so on and so forth. We can round that to either 19 or 19.4. Either one of these I will take as correct. Either one of these is perfectly fine by me. Now the last one we have, and this is where we're going to do the same exact thing again. So first one we have is we have our a squared, I'm always going to mark mine, our b, the other leg, and our c going across the hypotenuse. So what we're going to do is we are going to be doing the same exact thing as we did before. The first thing is we're going to label our pieces of what we have. So do we have our a squared? No, it's listed with an x. So we can say a squared plus, do we know our b squared? Our blue line definitely has a number by it, so we can say that's 24 squared. And do we have our hypotenuse, or our c? We sure as heck do. That's 30 squared. So we have our a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now let's go through this math. So we have a squared stays the same. What's 24 squared? That's 24 times 24. That should get you 576 equals, what's 30 squared? 30 squared gives you 900. Again, we're going to have to use our algebra skills. How can we get a by itself? Well, we have to subtract by 576 on both sides. So it cancels out over here. What is 900 minus 576? You should get 324. Again, how do we get rid of a square? Take the square root of both sides. So square root of 324, you should get your answer to equal 18. So those are just 3 quick examples of some things you're going to see in the worksheet today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and hope to hear from you guys soon.